a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Obviously, this is the major topic apparently around the world, around America at least, in the last 24 hours. I wasn't sure if I even wanted to cover it because I don't want to speculate on certain things, but after watching a lot of things unfold, researching, seeing other people's, content on it, and actually waking up, and I don't think I've ever had this many requests before to cover a topic ever since I've started my channel, let alone the fact that I have a video from 2016 on my other channel about Kobe Bryant. It's a Kobe Bryant Illuminati video where I talk about, a lot of the symbolism in his logos and things like that. And the video, it went semi-viral, not viral, but I mean, it was getting, 2,000 views an hour, which is unnormal for a video from 2016 to suddenly get views like that. But people were obviously coming to YouTube and they weren't typing in a call for an uprising. They were typing in Kobe Bryant, Illuminati, or anything along those lines because they were suspicious of what happened and the story they're being told about what happened to him, which makes me want to cover a topic like this, because if there's something irking at any zombie's soul out there, anybody who is completely brainwashed and they think that something's wrong, and even if they come to the video and they tell me off and they don't even realize it's a video from 2016 because they're all, emotionally distressed because one of their idols has, suddenly died, it shows me that at least their soul is telling them that something's wrong with, telling them and tugging away at them that something's wrong with the story that they're hearing, the narrative that they're hearing. So I'm going to show you a bunch of things that should make you suspicious of this. Now, first, I don't want to speculate because you can take two sides to a story like this, right? Just like we hear with Jeffrey Epps. You could say, well, something happened or it didn't happen, right? It's a fake story where they ship him off to Bagel Town, Israel, or they do a ritual sacrifice. Now, we all know that they do these ritual sacrifices, which I'm going to show you a clip in the middle of this video from a movie that will show you exactly what I'm talking about and put it in layman's terms, so to speak. And, hearing upon, the daughter being involved and other things, and Kobe Bryant he's a pretty known figure in America. I don't really know how they would ship him off somewhere and he'd be able to hide, let alone the fact that his daughter's involved. But you can take whichever narrative you want. I'm just here to give you my opinion on it, especially upon the things that I've seen, including, stuff involving LeBron James and the fact that he broke his record and all that stuff. So let's start with this. Thankfully, my website at callforuprising.com is up, it's running, and people were able to share information. A bunch of people posted this photo yesterday because they typed in what happened, when did, yada, 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 this happened to Kobe Bryant. And Google put Kobe Bryant assassinated next to it. Now look, you might sit there and go, oh, it's ridiculous, because right now if you type it in, it's going to say assassinated. And no, I didn't alter this and, type it in, do some type of video editing to make it look like it says this. This is what it said last night. And there's thousands of people who have seen it and posted it. And that's why I tell people to go over to my website, because over there, at least you can post it. Here on YouTube, you really can't. So here's the first suspicion of it, right? Kobe Bryant assassinated, being reported as assassinated, which is the same as being sacrificed. And then you get this clip, which a lot of channels have posted, which I'm going to post, of predictive programming, right? We see it with everything. We see it with, 9/11. We see it with, you name it, vaccinations, outbreaks. So we're seeing with the corona thing that's going on, which I'll cover during the week. We see an actual cartoon clip, which a lot of times we see more of the predictive programming in cartoons like The Simpsons and Family Guy, which actually shows Kobe in a helicopter accident and then the helicopter exploding. So take a look for yourself.
Oh, shit! It's Kobe Bryant! Help me. Just pass me the trophies and we'll pull you out. Pass?
at the mysterious, bizarre worship of Kobe Bryant. Now, this is one of the telltale signs of a ritual sacrifice, right? We saw it with Prince. I mean, they still were talking about him and worshiping the ground he walks on as a musician. It doesn't mean, if you're somebody who doesn't believe in any of this stuff, you're like, oh, he was a great musician. Okay. Bizarre behavior of before and after, when someone's alive, if they're looked at this way compared to when they're deceased. Because when a ritual sacrifice occurs, these people are getting more press and more prominence put in their name and more love than they would get when they were alive. That's a sign of a ritual. Kobe Bryant, sure, he was a pretty known basketball player. He threw a ball through a net. Literally every avenue of media shut down yesterday to bow down and worship Kobe Bryant. The Grammy Awards last night, right? The Grammy Awards, which took place at the Staples Center, which is the place where Kobe Bryant played for the LA Lakers. We see Alicia Keys, who I've exposed before as being a high-ranking witch, throwing up the 666 sign, right? She's holding it at her side as she talks about Kobe, and they recite a song. And all these other people go up on stage, and they're singing, and they're talking about Kobe Bryant like they know. Does Kobe Bryant know all of these people? He's a basketball player. He threw a ball through a hoop, like I said, on the Lakers. Okay, well, I mean, if Eli Manning or, I'm just throwing a name out there as somebody who, I do follow sports and grew up playing sports. Does this type of idol worship happen for somebody else in another city, even if it's a big city like New York? No. What, did Kobe Bryant hang out with every single one of Alicia Keys and Kobe Bryant best friends? Oh, we're all heartbroken. Oh, we're all... This is another telltale sign. This is Egyptian worship, right? This is what they do. When these people get sacrificed, they get worshipped in the limelight as if they're Egyptian gods and goddesses. Nobody sits there and goes, what about the guy who flew the helicopter? What about the other people on the helicopter? Did anyone care about them? Their lives don't matter as much? Why? Because Kobe Bryant threw a ball through a net? And this is where social engineering and worship of these people comes in play, as far as the mental capacity of the human race worshiping these people, which needs to totally stop. But you can see for yourself the stuff at the Grammys. I mean, look at these people. They're bowing down, crying. And I'm not saying it's, if it's a legitimate accident, it's a legitimate thing. Of course people have the right to be emotional about it. But you don't think this is over the top? You don't think that this is some type of a sign of some sort of ritual occurring? I mean, give me a break.
Los Angeles, America, and the whole wide world lost a hero. And we're literally standing here heartbroken to say goodbye. We love you, Kobe.
Another thing about Kobe Bryant, which just shows you the control of the media over the mindset of these stupid people that exist in this world, is that Kobe Bryant was accused of committing rape. And eventually it got dismissed, but he could have served life in prison over what this girl was saying about him. Now, it was dismissed, but he never won a trial saying that he didn't do it, right? But in the eyes of people, he's a hero, right? Look at somebody like Roger Clemens in baseball. Roger Clemens fought steroid accusations, won in court, and is still looked at as a cheater, even though he won. He beat the evidence. Does that not show you hypocrisy? Harvey Weinstein, or whatever his name is. We all know that's a show, the stuff that we see going on with pushing feminism in Hollywood. But why is this not brought up about Kobe? Oh, well, Kobe, he was accused of this. We shouldn't be worshiping the ground he walks on. We got to remember stuff he did off of a court where he threw a ball through a net. No, they dismissed this stuff. And why do you think they dismiss it? Because this is part of the idol worship and part of the ritual sacrifice. And the ritual sacrifice is exactly what you hear and see here. Now, there's three other things to keep in mind. LeBron James broke his record the night before. LeBron James, who is known as the King, even though there's only one King, King of Kings, that's Jesus Christ. LeBron refers to himself as the King. The next day after breaking his record for points scored in NBA history, this happens. Okay? You think that's a coincidence? And it's in the 33,000 range. 33, I mean, there's a lot of threes, a lot of sixes in there. Sure, people will say that's speculative. That's fine. But I'm pointing this out for you to observe for yourself. Now, when I covered Kobe Bryant in previous videos, I covered a lot of the logos, right? His Mamba logo. He has the pyramid with the X being the symbol of the Antichrist. The pyramid, obviously, you know, if you don't know what the pyramid represents, and you know, the Illuminati pyramid and the all-seeing eye, all the crap that we see, that's his logo. That's a coincidence, right? He was like, I would love a pyramid with an X going through it. And the Mamba symbol, obviously, almost looking exactly like a Baphomet logo. But another thing about Kobe, which I was going to cover last month, so it's ironic that all this went down, because people brought it up to me on my website, is the fact that Kobe released a book which was promoting magic to kids. So he released his own magic book where he's talking about magic and he's referencing magic. And I mean, just another coincidence, right? There's always talking about magic. They love magic. Can't get enough magic. The Wizenard series, where he's, you know, telling kids that, you know, magic. I'll read some of the quotes. He says, I created Granity Studios as a way of teaching valuable life lessons to the next generation and whatever they hope to do. The goal is to encourage children to develop their own inner magic. I believe they can achieve the impossible and do so in a fun way. The whole series is about inner magic, right? Becoming one with yourself. This is right on the lines of the Masonic teachings that these people believe. So if you think that's a coincidence, I mean, sure, go ahead and think it. I'm pointing it out. You can decide whatever you want. And then the last thing I want to point out is Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson, who's known for being Zen, known for obviously not being a follower of our king. he reflects on Kobe Bryant, and his quote is, "Kobe was a chosen one." I find that to be a pretty interesting term, right? So he was a chosen one. Not Kobe. Oh, Kobe was one of the great players of all time of shooting a ball in the net. Kobe was, whatever you want to think, or whatever, however you want to define somebody, right? Oh, Kobe was a hard worker. Kobe, he was in the gym at 5 a.m. You could say all that stuff you want to say. You don't think that this is an interesting quote? Kobe was a chosen one. A chosen one. Chosen for what? Chosen for sacrifice? You tell me. And again, I'm not saying it one way or the other. I'm just showing you the things that I think are suspicious about all of it. Because these things are suspicious. Now, you couldn't pay me $1 trillion, maybe $1 trillion, but I would never get in a helicopter. Okay, I just would never get in one. I mean, it's like getting one of those small commercial planes, or those tiny planes like Thurman Munson died in, or the Yankees back in the 60s or 70s, I guess the 70s. Helicopters are just not safe to be in. So something like this obviously can be an accident that does occur. Of course it can be. But when things surround it like this, and when you see the outpour and the worship and the idol worship, that's when you become suspicious. And that's what I waited for. I waited because I wanted to see how the world reacted. I waited and I saw other truth channels, great truth channels, Russian vids, hacking the headlines, other people covering, seeing the cartoon out there, using gematria, whatever their thing is, but showing that there's no coincidences in this. And everybody, I think, for the most part, in this community did a great job of showing that this is just, it's too suspicious. Especially with the record being broken the day before, because Kobe's name hasn't been in the media in a long time. A long time. Suddenly, his name is getting dragged in the media again. Why? Because LeBron James passed his record on the same team. LeBron James joined the Lakers last year. His second year on the Lakers, which is Kobe's team, the Lakers. He passes his record for all-time points in NBA history. And it just happens to happen the next day, and LeBron does it in the hometown that Kobe Bryant grew up in Philadelphia. And all the other stuff I pointed out, the cartoon with the helicopter, right? Google search, which shows the assassinating. The intro of the Grammys being a tribute to Kobe Bryant, who has nothing to do with music. Nothing. He has zero to do with music. He's a basketball player. It's not like it was the opening of a basketball game. It's a music show, a music award show, right? And up there singing and crying, and all these musicians are putting his face up on the big board. I mean, all stuff that's rehearsed, which shows you that this is rehearsed and this was ready to go. When these sacrifices happen, everybody on the end knows that it's coming, except the person that it happens to. And what people fail to realize, especially with somebody like Kobe, is they go, they look what they did to him. He was in on it, though, as far as being a part of the brotherhood. They do this to one another. When this happens to Robin Williams, you think Robin Williams just did that to himself? Of course, nobody believes that. But you think that he was just somebody who was in Hollywood and a famous billionaire comedian, and they were just like, we got to get rid of him? That he wasn't a part of it? No, they're all a part of it. The sacrifices have to be made. They're called upon to be made. It doesn't mean that the person who gets sacrificed knows beforehand. Sometimes they probably could. They could offer themselves or something like that to save someone else. But this is the sickness of the satanic underworld, or the occult, the secrets that nobody knows about or nobody wants to talk about. So I think it sounds ridiculous. But when they sign these contracts, or I shouldn't say sign contracts, but literally do these blood oaths to one another, this is what it comes down to at the end of the day. They're asked no. They're told yes. Once you're a part of it, you're told. You get all these rewards in life, you get money, you get fame, but they can come at any time and say, look, it's over. It's done. You could be 41 like Kobe, you could be 85. But this is the way it works. So, as far as I'm concerned, seeing all this stuff, I have little to no doubt that it was a part of a ritual. I do not believe that he's over in Bagel Town, laying out in the sun. The only way that something like that would happen is if he was getting a divorce and maybe you want to separate, he took one of the kids, but it's pretty far-fetched to think something like that, especially with all the other coincidences around it. But remember, a lot of the times when some of these fake deaths occur, people spot these guys like, if the guy from Apple, they spot him over, in other countries, or at least lookalikes. They love the fact that that people worship the ground. This is like their whole life. This is like their Hall of Fame. Seeing the way that people react to this stuff. Look how everyone is reacting. It's like the world shut down over a basketball player dying. I remember when I was a kid, I saw a wrestling event, and the guy, Owen Hart, he fell from the ceiling. And the event still went on, and he died in the ring. Which, I'm not saying it should have went on. But that went on. They literally were ready to shut the world down yesterday. There was, NBA commentators saying we shouldn't even play a game, and the game was in New York, or New Jersey, or, in New Orleans, with the Celtics and the Pelicans. They're like, we shouldn't even play, because somebody passed. Those are signs of rituals. Those are signs of paying homage, Egyptian-type worship. So remember those things when you hear these stories come out. And I hope in some way, some of the stuff that I'm showing you in this video can help you make up your mind on what you believe is truth or not. And look, you don't have to have the same opinion as me. You all have a right to free speech. You all have a right to our own opinions. But just keep an open mind with stuff, because everything that media reports is not true. Show us the body. Show us the stuff. They don't show you anything. They just tell you. They tell you, and then you see coincidences. And that's why a video, like my video from 2016, Kobe Bryant, Illuminati Exposed, that's why it's suddenly getting 2,000 views. Because people are searching for Kobe Bryant, Illuminati, or Kobe Bryant, sacrifice, something along those lines, because they think that something's sketchy about it, because it smells sketchy. And if it smells sketchy, what's the old saying, right? If it looks like poop, it smells like poop, it probably is poop. Alright? That's being nice, not using the S word. So, I thank you guys for listening to today's show. A reminder, please check out my website at callforuprising.com. If you haven't checked it out yet, please consider checking it out and becoming a subscriber. It's $2.99 a month. And I want to thank the patrons out there for supporting the channel. You guys are the best. I appreciate the support constantly, and love you guys. Thank you for being here. God bless all of you and your families.